Hi, my name is Benji Waddell, and I am with Documenting Access here on Facebook. And we are taking a look at Duluth, Minnesota from an accessibility standpoint, starting here in Canal Park, moving our way up to downtown, and then all the way up to the University of Minnesota Duluth campus. We're going to be taking a look at hotspots all around Duluth that you may not see on your day-to-day basis, that have accessibility issues, or good things about Duluth that you haven't noticed. So let's check it out. So, taking a look at the universal design principles in Duluth, Minnesota, we're going to be taking a look at step number 1, which is equitable use. This means that something can be accessed by all people, shape, size, abilities. And here in Canal, we have the boat museum, and we have a perfect example with a ramp. This is a very large ramp that allows for anyone in any size wheelchair, mobility scooter, who has trouble getting around, as well as handrails for people who may need stability walking up the ramp to access the museum and all the features that it has. We'll see a lot of ramps around Duluth, especially on the University of Minnesota Duluth campus, as they're very accessible, as well as elevators and things like that for people to get around, especially in the buildings and campus here in Duluth.
Another big thing about equitable use is the sidewalks, and especially in Canal, Park, and Duluth, and also in downtown, is making sure that sidewalk transitions have bumps for people who use sidewalk textures to feel their way around. So this is something that Duluth somewhat is lacking. There is a texture change, but this is something that can be addressed more to create more of a distinct change for people who use that wayfinding system to get around.
Taking a look at step number 2 in the universal design principles, we are talking about flexibility in use. We are in the DeWitt's Marketplace in Canal Park, and we're taking a look at elevators. You'll see later on when we're on campus that the UMD campus does a lot with elevators, especially when moving around campus and they're all connected system. Here in Canal, there's a lot of buildings that are older that missed out on the elevator trend when it started to rise. And so a lot of buildings in Canal have either added elevators or still haven't added any because of the space of use. Here in the DeWitt's Marketplace, we do have an elevator, but we are actually way in the corner of the building, so we had to struggle to kind of find our way in here. Luckily, there is great signage in the building, which allows for readability for people to get around. But if you're someone trying to access this elevator, it's going to have to be a little out of your way. And that's something that businesses are having to struggle with and are trying to fix and figure out around Duluth.
We are in Canal, taking another look at step 3. This means simple and intuitive use. So what this means for Canal is street crossing buttons are a great example. They are obvious to use. They have a simple explanation. One thing that Canal can definitely do to improve upon this experience is there are zero wait feature, there is no noise signaling, there is little texture to the buttons. This is something that for people who struggle with visual impairment, hearing impairment, this can be a struggle to get around on the busy streets, and especially at busy times of the year in the summer, this can be hazard for people who may struggle to get around using this type of wayfinding system.
Taking a look at step number 4 in the universal design principles is perceptible information. And the DeWitt's Marketplace actually does a great job of this with signage everywhere. As you can see, there was signage for every business that's in the building. And as we walk around here, we can see that there's signage for the bathrooms, the elevators, and all the stores that are inside of the marketplace. And this is something very important for wayfinding, especially for people who may have trouble getting around. Getting to the place that they want to go is super important without lollygagging or getting lost in the process. Taking a look at step number 5 in the universal design principles is tolerance for error. And this means that the design minimizes hazards. And as you can see, Duluth has quite the problem with this. Being the winter kind of destroys the sidewalks here in Duluth downtown. As you can see, ice is everywhere. And as we get to spring, the ice is beginning to melt, causing water to run. This can make slippery surfaces, and especially for people who have trouble walking, may have visual impairment. This can create great problems trying to traverse downtown Duluth. and getting around to their local hotspots. And as you can see over here, if we turn around real quick, as I was talking about earlier, the transitions for the sidewalks get somewhat destroyed in the wintertime with the ice forming over them. And this causes a great problem for locals who are trying to get around. And this is something that is continually trying to be solved by the city and creative new ideas. We are now inside the halls of the UMD campus, and we are taking a look at step number 6 of the universal principles. Step number 6 being low physical effort. So that means that the area and space around has efficient and usable space that has minimal effort from all people and can be used effectively by all people. Here we see the hallways connecting the dormitories to the rest of campus, and UMD is actually built on a connection system, allowing you to move throughout campus without actually ever having to step outside. What this allows for is people who may have accessibility issues, or in the winter time when the sidewalks are icy and the weather is cold, people can get around campus without having to worry about slick sidewalks, bumpy roads, and wearing a coat to class. The really nice thing about UMD, and the reason that it is connected, is that you can get around with ease in the wintertime, especially in the harsh weather. And especially with all these different floors, one thing that UMD has covered is the elevator system here. As you can see, we have an elevator here, and as well over here, down this hallway, we're gonna have another elevator as well. So when you're navigating around campus, through the hallway systems and everything being connected, there's always going to be elevators for you to get up and down through all the floor systems on campus. Taking a look at the final 7th step of the universal principles of design, we're looking at size and space and approach and use. So what this means is that all things are available to be used easily, as well as there's enough space for any person of any size or ability to have access to that type of space. UMD does this especially well in the hallways. You can see here as we go into the food court, the hallways and doorways are very open and spacious, giving people a lot of room to access. And as well as being in the food court, there's quite a lot of space for the people trying to buy food or browsing different options here on campus. One negative of the UMD food court can be the seating and tabling. Oftentimes, the seating and table options are not very well spaced out, as you can see, and a lot of the time, it would be very difficult for someone who may have trouble moving around in tight spaces to get around and find somewhere to sit. Going out now into the main hallway of campus, we can see just how wide it really is, giving accountability for anyone who may be in a wheelchair, who may have trouble walking, or who needs more space to get around.